The wind howled through the broken streets, carrying with it a sharp scent of smoke and metal. Rubble littered the ground, twisted beams jutting out like the skeleton of a fallen giant. Marcus Vey ducked behind a collapsed wall, his chest tight, ears straining. Somewhere nearby, a child was crying, a small, high-pitched wail that cut through the chaos and made his stomach twist. "Lena?" he called, his voice raw with worry. "Where are you?" The cry answered him again, louder, desperate. Marcus didn't hesitate. He sprinted over jagged debris, careful not to trip over a fallen pipe or shards of glass. Each step carried the memory of what he had lost, the colony, his friends, but there was no time to mourn. Not now. Through a gap in the ruins he saw her, a little girl no older than 7, pinned beneath a slab of concrete. Her face was streaked with tears and dirt, eyes wide with fear. She struggled weakly, calling out in broken sobs, and Marcus's heart jumped. He dropped his backpack and pried at the concrete with his bare hands, his muscles straining. Then came a low rumble, almost like the growl of some massive animal. Marcus froze, glancing up. Between the broken buildings, shapes moved, long, sinuous shadows that glimmered with something almost like light. 2 enormous creatures emerged, their scales reflecting the fading sun in flashes of gold and green. They had wings folded tight against their bodies, and their eyes, intelligent, wary, almost human in emotion, locked on him. Marcus's first thought was to run. But Lena's cry didn't stop. The creatures shifted, their heads tilting as if listening. He realized in that split second they weren't attacking, they were curious. "Stay calm," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "Just help her." He dug faster, sweat running down his face. Lena whimpered as a jagged edge of concrete dug into her arm. Marcus gritted his teeth and shifted it just enough to free her shoulder. She gasped, pulling herself out while he caught her. She clung to him, trembling, but relief flickered across her small face. The rumble became louder, more insistent, vibrating through the ground beneath their feet. Marcus's eyes widened as the dragons, he had no other word for them, bent their massive heads toward Lena. The air around them shimmered, a faint glow pulsing from their scales. Lena instinctively raised her tiny hands and the creatures froze. Then without warning they roared. The sound shattered the silence of the ruined city, a force so powerful it threw dust and debris into the air. Marcus braced himself, arms around Lena. From the edge of the ruins, hostile scavengers, humans armed with crude rifles, had been closing in. They stumbled backward, shielding their faces from the sonic wave. Marcus realized what was happening. The dragons weren't attacking him or Lena, they were defending her. The little girl's cry, her fear and pain, had called them, and they responded. A surge of awe and disbelief hit him. He had never seen anything like this. "Lena, it's okay," he whispered. "They're protecting you." The scavengers tried to regroup, but Marcus saw the determination in the dragon's eyes. The shimmering energy between them grew brighter, pulsing in sync with Lena's sobs. One of the creatures stepped forward, wings unfurling slightly, casting a shadow that swallowed 2 of the attackers in darkness. The others froze, realizing they were outmatched. A sudden piece of rubble collapsed near Marcus, sending a cloud of dust into the air. Lena coughed, panicked, and Marcus pulled her close. "Keep calm, just like we practiced," he said, trying to steady her trembling. The dragons seemed to sense it, their glowing eyes flicking to him, then back to Lena. In that moment, Marcus understood something incredible. These weren't mindless beasts. They were intelligent, aware, and connected to the child in ways he didn't yet understand. He tightened his grip on Lena, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on him. If he made a wrong move, both of them could die. Then a sudden flash of movement caught his eye. A third figure appeared on the edge of the street, smaller but faster, slipping between the shadows with unnatural speed. Marcus squinted. It wasn't human. Its shape twisted, almost liquid, and for a heartbeat he couldn't breathe. The child whimpered, sensing his fear. Marcus swallowed hard, forcing himself to stay calm. Whatever this new threat was, the dragons would notice too, and he had no idea if they would see it as friend or foe. "Lena, hang on," he whispered, bracing himself. "We're not done yet." A strange, cold wind swept through the ruins, carrying the metallic scent of danger. Marcus's heart pounded. The dragons lowered their heads, tails coiling like living steel cables, ready for whatever came next. And in the flickering light of the dying sun, Marcus realized the fight had only just begun. He looked down at Lena. Her eyes were wide, scared but unbroken. And somewhere deep in the shadows, something watched, and waited. The ruins, once silent, now thrummed with a new life. The dragons had answered her cry, but what they would do next, No one could say.
Marcus's arms ached from holding Lena close as they stumbled through the rubble-strewn streets. The dragons hovered above, their wings tucked tight, moving silently yet with an undeniable presence that made Marcus's skin tingle. The little girl's sobs had quieted to soft hiccups, but the fear in her eyes hadn't gone. "Almost there," Marcus whispered, leading her toward a half-collapsed biodome on the edge of the colony. The structure looked fragile, its glass cracked and panels hanging loose, but it was the only cover for miles. "You'll be safe inside for now." As they entered, the dragons shifted their positions, one landing gracefully near the entrance, while the other perched on a broken wall inside. Dust swirled around them, but they remained calm, almost protective. Marcus didn't understand why. He had never seen creatures like this, or anything that reacted to a human child's emotion. "We can't stay here long," Marcus said, glancing at the sky. Smoke from distant fires painted the horizon red. He pulled out a small scanner from his bag, sweeping the air for movement.
"Drones."
"They're coming." Lena clutched his sleeve. "D-dragons protect us?" she whispered, voice trembling. "Yes," Marcus said, forcing a smile he didn't feel. "They're helping us. You did something amazing back there, but we can't rely on that forever." The scanner beeped. Small dots appeared on the display, moving fast. Hostile scavenger drones, mechanized, armed, and relentless, were converging on their location. Marcus's stomach dropped. The little girl's cries had saved them once, but if the drones arrived in force, she might not be able to call the dragons fast enough again. "We need a plan," he muttered. He scanned the inside of the biodome, noting broken panels and loose wiring. Then, a spark of an idea hit him. He tore a small energy conduit from a nearby terminal and began connecting it to a makeshift speaker, improvising with scraps from his bag. "If I can amplify Lena's calls," he muttered. "What are you doing?" Lena asked, voice still small but curious. "Trust me," Marcus said. He encouraged her to take a deep breath. "Just like before, call for help. But this time, it will reach farther." Lena hesitated, fear gripping her. Then, as Marcus guided her hands to the speaker, she let out a loud, trembling cry. It echoed through the ruins, amplified by the crude device. The dragons stiffened immediately, their glowing eyes intensifying. Marcus felt the vibrations in his chest as the creatures responded, a deep resonance that rattled the glass panels around them. Outside, the drones faltered. The sudden surge of energy and sound confused them, their sensors struggling to identify the source. Two drones skidded to a halt, colliding with each other, while another attempted to fire its weapons, only for the pulse from the dragon's proximity to disable its systems. Marcus allowed himself a short, sharp breath of relief. "It's working," he whispered. "They hear you, Lena. They know you're in danger." But the relief was short-lived. From the broken edge of the biodome, a figure stepped out. Unlike the other drones, it wasn't mechanical. Its body was elongated and flexible, moving with unnatural speed. Marcus blinked, unable to focus at first. The shape twisted and shimmered as if it were made of liquid metal, glinting under the faint sunlight. The dragons reacted instantly, wings spreading wide as their scales glowed. Lena froze behind Marcus. I didn't call it," she whispered, voice barely audible. Marcus realized it wasn't responding to her cry. It was scanning them. Its movements were deliberate, intelligent, not mechanical. He clenched his fists, feeling the weight of the moment. One wrong move and both he and Lena could die, or worse, provoke the dragons. The creature lurched forward, and one dragon lunged to intercept, claws scraping the biodome wall with a screech. Sparks flew from exposed wiring. Marcus shouted, "No, wait." He dashed toward the dragon, throwing himself between it and the intruder. The dragon hesitated, looking into Marcus's eyes, as if understanding his command. Lena pressed herself against him, trembling, but safe. Marcus could feel her pulse through his arms, hear her shallow breaths. The dragons, though massive and fearsome, mirrored his movements, ready to fight, but held back by his will. Suddenly, the shimmering creature paused mid-step. Its form flickered, and for a heartbeat, Marcus swore it looked like it was observing, not attacking. Then, with a swift motion, it disappeared into the air, leaving behind only a faint shimmer, like heat above a desert road. Marcus sank to the floor, breathing heavily. "What was that?" he muttered. Lena clung tighter, and for the first time, Marcus admitted his own fear. He had faced hostile humans, wild planets, collapsing structures, but he had never seen anything like that. One of the dragons lowered its massive head near Lena, letting out a soft, almost comforting rumble. She hugged the creature tentatively, and it nudged her gently, wings folding back. Marcus watched, awestruck, feeling a strange mix of relief and dread. The dragons were allies, yes, but the world they were in was changing faster than he could keep up. The drones, shaken but not gone, began regrouping at the far edge of the colony. Marcus realized the brief victory was only temporary. He had bought them time, but time was running out. Lena's cry had summoned help once, but could it do so again? And what other dangers waited in the ruins, drawn to her power? Marcus looked at Lena, then at the dragons, and whispered, "We've survived this, but the real fight is just beginning." The wind shifted, carrying an unfamiliar metallic hum across the rubble. The dragon stiffened, ears twitching, and Lena's wide eyes followed Marcus's gaze. Somewhere, hidden in the shadows of the broken city, something else had awakened. Something that might not be friendly this time. Marcus's heart pounded. He had saved her once, but the question lingered. Could he do it again? And what was coming next? The ruins were alive with secrets, and their next move would determine who survived. Marcus's hands still shook from the encounter as he helped Lena to her feet. The metallic shimmer of the mysterious intruder lingered in his mind, impossible to ignore. Outside, the colony lay in ruins, silent except for the distant hum of scavenger drones regrouping and the faint echo of the dragon's deep, protective rumble. "We can't stay here," Marcus said, scanning the broken biodome. Dust floated in the beams of dying sunlight, catching in the dragon's glowing scales. "They'll be back and faster next time." Lena nodded quietly, clutching his sleeve. She had calmed down, but the fear in her wide eyes remained, mixed with awe. They listen to me," she whispered. "The dragons." Marcus crouched to her level. "Yes," he said, voice firm. "But you're not in control. They're alive, and they think for themselves. We need to be smart if we're going to survive." He checked his scanner. A faint trail of signals led down into a cracked vent near the biodome floor. Marcus frowned. "Something's hidden beneath the colony," he muttered. "And I think it's connected to you, Lena." "What do you mean?" she asked, eyes wide. Marcus hesitated. "I don't know yet. But that creature we saw, it wasn't human. And it reacted to you." He glanced at the dragons. They shifted slightly, wings brushing the glass. "They respond to your fear, your cries. Somehow you trigger them." Lena swallowed. I cry." "You're stronger than that," Marcus said softly. "Your emotions, they reach things no one else can touch." He didn't fully understand it himself, but he felt it. The dragons had come for her, not him. Something about her made the impossible happen. Marcus led them to the vent. It was narrow, but crawlable, and the scanner showed faint energy readings deep below. "If we go down there, maybe we'll find answers or maybe more danger," he said. "Either way, we can't wait." The dragons lowered their heads near the vent opening, tilting slightly as if observing. Marcus felt a strange connection. Their intelligence was real, almost human in subtle ways. He moved first, crouching and slipping inside, Lena following closely behind. The cool, stale air of the vent pressed in around them, claustrophobic but necessary. They emerged into a subterranean lab, half buried in rubble, wires dangling like vines. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the walls, pulsing in rhythm with Lena's heartbeat. Marcus froze. This isn't just an abandoned lab. Someone or something was experimenting here. Lena's eyes widened. "Me?" she asked softly. Marcus nodded. "I think so." He stepped carefully over broken machinery, dust crunching underfoot. Screens flickered to life as he brushed his hand against a console. A holographic figure appeared, a ghostly, human-like projection with a calm voice. "Child of resonance, guardian awakens," it said. "The dragons will respond. Protect, guide, and challenge. The link must not be broken." Lena clutched Marcus's arm. I don't understand." Marcus frowned, his mind racing. "It's saying you're connected to the dragons. Your emotions, your cries. They can awaken them. But why? And for what?" A sudden noise made them both spin. From the shadows, the shimmering creature slid forward again. This time it didn't rush. Its form rippled, almost examining them. Eyes, or what passed for eyes, fixated on Lena. Marcus stepped in front of her instinctively, heart pounding. One of the dragons rumbled low, wings stretching. Its glowing eyes locked onto the intruder, but Marcus raised a hand. "Wait," he said firmly. The dragon paused. Somehow, Marcus knew he could guide their reaction, but he couldn't control it entirely. The creature pulsed, then split in two, revealing another layer of its form. Machinery intertwined with something organic. Marcus's stomach turned. It was neither fully alive nor completely machine, a hybrid created for a purpose they didn't yet understand. "I think it's studying you," Marcus whispered to Lena, "trying to understand your connection to them." The lab hummed faintly, reacting to Lena's presence. Symbols glowed brighter as she moved closer to the console. Tentatively, she reached out. The hologram flickered, stabilizing. Emotional resonance confirmed. Guardian synchronization achieved. Amplification possible. Marcus's mind raced. Amplification? You mean we could make the dragons respond stronger, or control them? The projection shimmered. Control is impossible. Harmony is key. The child must lead with empathy, not force. A sudden alarm blared from the consoles. Red lights flashed. The vent hatch they had come through began to shake violently. Marcus grabbed Lena. "They found us," he shouted. "The drones, they traced us." Outside, the dragons surged toward the vent, wings stretching wide, scales glowing brighter than ever. Their deep roars shook the lab walls, echoing like thunder. Marcus realized then, the little girl's presence was the key. The dragons weren't weapons, they were guardians responding to her empathy, and her courage. "Lena, focus," he urged. "Call to them like before." Her voice trembled, small but clear. The dragons responded instantly, the shimmer of their energy pulsing in sync with her cry. The hybrid intruder recoiled, momentarily disrupted, flickering like static. Marcus felt hope surge. But even as the threat faltered, a new shadow moved in the far corner of the lab. A heavy metallic footstep. Marcus's heart froze. The drones were not alone. Something else, larger, smarter, and more dangerous, was entering the room. He grabbed Lena's hand. "Hold on," he said, voice steady despite the fear. "We've only just begun. Whatever comes next, we face it together." The dragons flared their wings, the lab vibrating with energy. Lena's small cry filled the chamber, resonating with power she didn't understand. And in the shadows, the unknown watcher paused, considering. Marcus knew this. Answers were close, but so was danger. And the real challenge, the one that could decide the fate of the child, the dragons, and the colony, was about to begin. Marcus's chest heaved as he backed away from the growing shadow in the lab, Lena clinging tightly to his side. The metallic intruder had regrouped, its form now solid, almost armor-like, with flickering edges that betrayed its alien origin. It wasn't just a scout anymore, it was a predator, and it had assessed them as threats. "We don't have time," Marcus muttered, scanning the room. Broken consoles hummed faintly, wires sparking, sending shadows dancing across the walls. The dragons shifted in unison, wings unfurling, bodies coiling like living steel cables. Their glowing eyes met Marcus's, and for a brief moment, he felt a strange confidence. They were immense, intelligent, and willing to follow his lead, but he still had to guide them wisely. The intruder lunged, moving impossibly fast, its rippling form striking toward the console Lena had touched. Sparks erupted, and a sharp metallic clang rang through the lab. Marcus grabbed Lena and shoved her behind a support pillar. "Stay low," he shouted. The dragons responded instantly. One leaped through the shattered vent opening, claws out, wings flaring. Its tail whipped across the floor, sending shards of broken glass spinning into the air. The second dragon slanted downward, scales flashing like molten metal, intercepting the intruder mid-lunge. Energy pulsed from its body, knocking the creature back with a forceful blast. Lena gasped. "Marcus, they're fighting for us." "Yes," he said, heart pounding, "but we need to finish this. We can't let it escape, or learn from us." He glanced at the console, a plan forming. He tore a section of exposed conduit and connected it to the speaker again, this time rigging it to channel Lena's emotional resonance directly into the dragon's energy pulses. It was risky. She could strain herself, but it might amplify their defense enough to push the intruder out of the lab. "Lena, you have to focus," Marcus said firmly. "Think about protecting everyone. Call to them." The little girl's eyes were wide with fear, but determination flickered. She inhaled sharply, then let out a cry, louder and steadier than before. The dragons responded immediately, their glowing scales pulsing in perfect rhythm with her voice. The lab shook with the force of their combined energy, walls rattling as the intruder twisted and contorted, trying to resist. Marcus leapt toward a control panel, typing rapidly. Sparks flew from exposed terminals, but he ignored them, rerouting power to stabilize the resonance field. The intruder surged forward again, faster, more desperate, but the dragons anticipated every move. One slammed into its flank with a crushing force, while the other whipped its tail, knocking it against the lab wall. Pieces of alien machinery scattered, sparks flying everywhere. "Marcus," Lena shouted. "It's not stopping." "I know," he yelled back. "We need one big push, something it can't withstand." He looked at the gravity stabilization array embedded in the floor. It was partially broken, but if he could reroute the energy through the dragon's resonance field, it might generate a force strong enough to incapacitate the intruder. Marcus didn't have time to calculate risk, he acted. He tore wires, pressed buttons, and guided Lena to focus her cry like a conductor directing an orchestra. The dragon stiffened, sensing the surge. Energy arced between them, connecting to Lena's amplified voice. Light filled the lab, shimmering across every surface, deafening in intensity. The intruder shrieked, twisting violently, unable to withstand the combined human-dragon force. Marcus felt the vibration in his bones as it slammed against the far wall, then dissolved into ripples of light, leaving behind only a faint shimmer on the floor. Silence fell. Lena sagged in Marcus's arms, exhausted but safe. The dragons lowered their heads, wings folding slowly, glowing dimly but still alert. Marcus leaned against a console, panting. He looked at the little girl. "You did it, we did it," he whispered. Her eyes shone with tears, a mix of fear, relief, and pride. Then, a tremor shook the floor. The crater near the edge of the lab, left from the colony's earlier collapse, shifted and revealed a hidden chamber below. Dust and smoke poured upward, and a faint mechanical hum pulsed from within. Marcus's stomach sank. He realized the intruder had only been a scout. Something larger, something more dangerous, had been awakened by their fight. He glanced at Lena, seeing both her exhaustion and the spark of courage in her eyes. The dragons roared softly, a low rumble that vibrated through the lab. Marcus understood. They were ready, but they couldn't face this new threat alone. Only with human intelligence, courage, and empathy could the next challenge be met. Marcus pulled Lena close, whispering, "We're not done. Whatever's down there, it's waiting for us." The dragons shifted, stepping toward the open chamber, wings partially unfurled. Their glowing eyes swept the shadows below, reflecting intelligence and trust. Marcus felt a surge of hope and fear at the same time. The little girl's power had saved them, but he knew survival would demand more, smarter moves, faster thinking, and courage beyond anything he had ever faced. Lena looked up at him, voice trembling but firm. I want to help. I want to protect them, all of them." Marcus nodded. "That's why we survive. That's why humans shine. Together, we can face anything." He glanced down at the chamber again. Mechanical hums and faint lights pulsed like a heartbeat. The real danger, the one that could change everything, waited below. And Marcus knew the dragons and Lena would be ready, but the stakes were higher than ever. The lab trembled again, dust cascading from the ceiling. The unknown installation below was no longer dormant. Marcus took a deep breath, steadying his nerves.
"We go down there," he said. "Now."
As they moved toward the hidden chamber, the dragons flared their wings, light reflecting off broken glass and steel. Lena's small hand tightened in his. Marcus felt the weight of responsibility pressing down, but also a thrill. Humans had survived against impossible odds before, and they would again. And somewhere deep below, something ancient, massive, and intelligent stirred, awakened by their fight. Marcus knew one thing for certain. This battle wasn't over, and the next moment could change everything. Marcus led Lena down the narrow staircase into the hidden chamber, the dragons following close behind. The air was thick with the hum of machinery, a low, rhythmic pulse that seemed almost alive. Dust drifted in the shafts of light spilling through cracks above, and every step echoed ominously, warning them that this place had not been untouched for centuries. Lena clung tightly to his hand, fear still flickering in her eyes, but Marcus could feel her resolve strengthening. "Stay close," he whispered. "We face this together." The chamber opened into a massive cavern filled with alien technology, enormous machines lying dormant, their surfaces covered with dust and scratches. In the center, a circular platform glowed faintly, reacting to Lena's presence. Marcus crouched to examine it, sensing its power. "This is why the intruder came," he muttered. "This facility, it's linked to you, Lena. Your cry, your resonance, it's a key. And whoever built this, they wanted to control it." Lena's voice was small but steady. "Control it? Why me?" Marcus shook his head. "I don't know. But what matters now is that we stop it from falling into the wrong hands." He looked up at the dragons, whose glowing eyes reflected intelligence and patience. They were allies, yes, but he understood the responsibility lay with him and Lena to guide them. Suddenly, the faint hum intensified, and a panel on the platform slid open. A figure emerged, part machine, part organic, larger than any intruder they had faced before. Its eyes glowed like molten metal, scanning the chamber. It moved with precision, analyzing, learning, waiting. Marcus felt a cold wave of fear. This was no scout. It was a sentinel, awakened by their fight above. "Marcus," Lena whispered, tightening her grip. "We can do this," he said firmly. "Focus. Call to the dragons." Lena took a deep breath. She remembered their first encounter, the fear, the chaos, and the dragon's response to her cries. She let out a controlled, resonant call, her small voice amplified by the lab systems. The dragons stiffened, wings unfurling, scales glowing brighter than ever. Energy arced between them, shimmering across the floor. Marcus acted quickly, tapping controls to channel the chamber's energy through the dragon's field. Sparks flew, panels hummed, and the sentinel recoiled at the combined human-dragon resonance. It struck out, but the dragons anticipated every move, moving with precision that Marcus guided with a few gestures and commands. "You're doing it, Lena," he shouted. "Keep going." The little girl's cry intensified, her fear replaced by determination. The dragons responded in perfect harmony, claws and tails striking with controlled force, creating a protective barrier around them. The sentinel shrieked, metal clashing against scales, energy arcing through the chamber. Marcus realized the key wasn't brute force, it was coordination, empathy, and quick thinking. He directed the dragons to circle, using Lena's resonance to destabilize the sentinel. Sparks and glowing energy filled the air, reflecting off every surface. The sentinel stumbled, its systems faltering under the synchronized power of human and dragon teamwork. Marcus's heart raced as he calculated their next move. With a decisive motion, he guided Lena to amplify a final call, a pure, unwavering sound that resonated through the cavern. The dragons surged together, wings flaring, energy coalescing into a single, dazzling pulse. The sentinel collapsed, dissolving into ripples of light and sound, leaving only the quiet hum of dormant machinery. Lena sank to her knees, exhausted but triumphant. Marcus knelt beside her, holding her close. "You did it," he whispered. "You saved us." The dragons lowered their heads near them, a soft rumble vibrating through the cavern. Marcus looked at their glowing eyes and smiled. They had listened, protected, and trusted humans to guide them. Humanity had shined, not through weapons or brute strength, but through courage, intelligence, and empathy. The platform's energy dimmed, but faint lights flickered along the walls. Marcus realized this chamber held more secrets, more technology, more knowledge than they could comprehend. "We've won this fight," he said, voice steady. "But there's more here, and someone will want it." Lena looked up, tired but resolute. I think I understand now. My cry, it isn't just a sound. It's a bridge." Marcus nodded.
Yes.
"And it connects humans, dragons, and this world. We protect it, we guide it, and we survive." The dragons circled overhead, wings beating softly. Marcus felt a surge of pride and awe. They had survived impossible odds, faced unknown threats, and discovered the true power of human courage and determination. As they turned to leave the chamber, a soft, mechanical hum rose from deep below. Marcus froze, listening. The energy beneath them pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat, faster than before. Lena's eyes widened. "Marcus, it's not over," she whispered. "No," he said quietly. "And next time we'll be ready." The dragons lowered their wings, nudging Lena gently, as if acknowledging her new role. The hum beneath the chamber continued, steady and ominous. Marcus realized that the hidden facility was far larger than they had seen, and the technology inside still held secrets that could reshape the galaxy if discovered by the wrong hands. He glanced at Lena, and she nodded, understanding the weight of responsibility they now carried. "We survived today," he said. "Tomorrow we'll face whatever comes next." The chamber's lights flickered once more, revealing a corridor leading even deeper into the planet. Marcus's jaw tightened. Whatever lay ahead, humans and dragons would face it together. Courage, empathy, and intelligence were their weapons, and nothing, not even impossible odds, could break them. As they stepped forward into the shadowed corridor, the faint hum grew louder, pulsing like a heartbeat, hinting at a power still dormant and a challenge still waiting. Somewhere beneath the ruins, the real adventure was only just beginning.